fire in Leh claims the life of an expatriate woman. Celebrations for athletes underway as authorities assess challenges. And Taekwondo team now focused on Olympic Qualifiers.
This is National EMTV News with Tokana Hasavi.
A very good evening to you and welcome to another working week. Leh police have confirmed that a fire on Friday at the main market area has killed an expatriate woman. The loss of life has happened a year after the national government said the fire service will be improved with new equipment and training for firefighters to respond to fire emergencies. 2 people have been killed so far. On October 2014, a boy with special needs was still inside a residential home along Leh's Sandpiper Road when it burnt down. EMTV's Bethany Harriman has this report from Leh.
An expatriate woman believed to be Asian was killed in this fire on Friday. That destroyed Leh's Exingzang store at the main market area. Leh Police CID can only confirm that she was burnt when the fire engulfed the whole building. The circumstances surrounding her failure to escape from the burning building is yet unknown. Swift action by PNG Power personnel to secure main power lines and the Leh Fire Service containing the fire saved other lives and properties. There have been 16 fires in the space of 2 years and it has gained political attention. In October 2014, the Prime Minister Peter O'Neill said this when confronted with questions about the ailing state of the PNG Fire Service.
We are going to increase the number of equipments that they've got, training that they have, so that we can respond to many of these emergencies on a timely basis.
On the 8th of March, Deputy Prime Minister Leo Dion, who holds the Intergovernment Relations portfolio, said a proposal will be tabled to the NEC.
Financial assistance at the first place, and also recognizing the expertise from our side to come in.
Friday's fire isn't the first fire to have killed someone. In October 2014, a young boy was killed when a residential home got burnt down along the Sandpiper Road. The series of Leh fires continue to expose the fire service containing industrial fires with the same old equipment. Bethany Harriman, National EMTV News, Leh.
Kokopo police have arrested 2 brothers believed to be the kingpins of a gang operating in Kokopo. Neville Maniwokin, the elder brother, was brought into custody on Saturday after police raided his parents' home at Vunapalading on Saturday. His younger brother, Micah Maniwokin, was arrested at Anderson's shopping centre on Saturday evening. The 2 brothers are believed to be the gang leaders of armed hold-ups in and around Kokopo town. Provincial Police Commander Superintendent Anthony Wagambi Jr. says other members of the gang are still at large. Police believe the gang had committed at least 3 robberies this month in various locations around Kokopo town. 2 of them happened last week within a span of 48 hours. The East New Britain Governor, Herman Tobeining Jr. has announced a plan to make a shift in the provincial education system. Mr. Tobeining Jr. says school infrastructures in the province will be improved and a new high school built. This is to ensure that student learning is catered for as East New Britain slowly transforms into a tourism hotspot.
At the opening of a new administration building at the Kokopo Secondary School on Saturday, the East New Britain Governor revealed his education plans. Amongst the priorities, Kokopo Secondary School, the only biggest school in the province, will undergo a new makeover to cater to its 3-shift classes. There are also plans to transform Kokopo Business College into a polytechnic institute, the governor said. This is to cater to the growing number of students who missed out on being selected to tertiary institutions after grade 10 and 12. A proposed new high school will also be built in Bitapaka to ease the burden of new intakes every year in the province. The education plan will cost several millions and will come from the provincial government's coffers. Most importantly, the education plan seeks to ensure that East New Britain province retain its students and not sending them away to other institutions in the country. Also, the economic prospect of East New Britain as a tourism destination means more people coming to live and work in the province. and the number of students to enroll is expected to increase compared to the previous years. Edwin Fidelis, National EMTV News, Kokopo.
Investigations are underway on a landslip that occurred over the weekend in Prugnawi Village Camp, Ambunti Sub-District in the East Sepik Province. Minda Manuambi, Deputy Provincial Administrator responsible for districts and LLGs, says a team was dispatched yesterday to assess the situation. Mr. Manuambi says a report will be done once investigations are complete. Spokesperson for the Prugnawi community in Port Moresby, Brian Singut, has appealed for assistance for the natural disaster. Well, the 2015 Pacific Games has concluded successfully, but has brought to light many challenges that need to be addressed. Amongst them is the need to modernize the police dog unit. This specialized unit within the constabulary has outstanding records in Port Moresby, but the Pacific Games has taught them lessons that needs to be addressed by the government.
The Pacific Games has concluded successfully. The joint security operations by the Police, Defence Force and the correctional officers has lowered the crime rate in the city, while many participating organizations have realized their strengths and weaknesses. The NCD dog unit in particular has challenges that need government's attention. Amongst them, they need 15 German Shepherd dogs for general duties and 3 more Labrador sniffer dogs for explosive and firearm sniffing. Dogs' kennels needs to be improved and more officers recruited. With the Pacific Games operations, the unit has realized that vehicles have been the major challenge. Continuous use of same vehicles by officers on shift duties has resulted in 2 of the vehicles grounded in workshop yesterday. NCD Dog Unit Commander Liut Nidung, who refused to speak on camera, says the government and the police hierarchy needs to address these things to improve its performance in future. Before the next international sporting event next year, the FIFA Under-23 World Cup for Women, the government needs to modernize the dog unit to be on par with international standards. Quinten Alomp, National EMTV News.
Well, having won the 15th Pacific Games, Team PNG is now relishing in the celebration of that achievement. Celebrations for Team PNG began at Jack Pettick Park at 2:30 this afternoon and continued to the Sir Hubert Murray Stadium. It is open to the public with free entry, and there are performances by artists including AK-47, Daddy G, Protege, George Telek, Paramount Strangers and many more. Prime Minister Peter O'Neill is expected to deliver on the government's promised incentives for the athletes later this evening. Well, ahead in the news, honouring a founding member of the Peace and Goodbella Sindan Foundation and a second Gulf Forum to discuss downstream processing. I'll be back with the details. Stay with us. Good to have you back with the news. Founding member of the WK Kitty PNG Peace and Goodbella Sindan Foundation, late Tengi Job Kitty, was given a special funeral service today. The funeral service coincided with the foundation launching the free accounting business and consulting service in her honour. Late Tengi was instrumental in establishing the foundation to embrace peace in the country.
Many may not be familiar with late Tengi, but her work has truly touched the lives of many who have come across her. This afternoon at the St. Martin's Anglican Church in Port Moresby, members of the WKKD PNG Peace and Goodbella Sindan Foundation paid their respects to this simple woman who wanted peace for everyone.
She had many good qualities. She was very cheerful, full of love, compassion and peace, as well as a caring mother.
Treasurer of Australia PNG Business Council Peter Maltese said the product is to honor late Kitty's work. Maltese says peace will be the center of the product.
On behalf of the patron, executive board, management and founder, may God bless this worthy cause.
Announced as the Tengi's PNG free accounting business and consulting services, this service is open to anyone. Speaking on behalf of the foundation, Sen Nagora Bogan said late Kitty has left a legacy for the foundation.
A legacy that will continue to add value and grow and sustain others to come.
Sen Nagora says this is a major project for the foundation to promote peace.
Hope that it will grow and multiply in honor of this woman, but also in terms of nourishing and enriching many of our Papua New Guineans to succeed in business and entrepreneurship. Because therein, if we share and grow the economic activity equally amongst many of us, then we will build a very strong society.
Late Kitty is survived by a husband, 4 children and 14 grandchildren. Jack Lapawe Jr. National EMTV News.
Mendi Munhir MP Dave Kawanu says placing the 400-year-old King James Bible in the Parliament chamber has significance to Papua New Guinea. MP Kawanu says the work of missionaries through the Word of God united Papua New Guinea before the colonial era and independence. He says it's not a mistake to have the Bible in the chamber, but to give prominence to the Word of God.
The 400-year-old King James Bible arrived in the country in April early this year as a gift from the U.S. state of Indiana to Papua New Guinea. Described as a national treasure by the Speaker of Parliament, Theo Ziruno, the Bible is said to be part of the Parliament Reformation Program. And as Parliament resumes tomorrow, Mendi MP Dave Kawanu says PNG must give eminence to the Word of God by passing and moving a motion to have the Bible in the chamber.
And that has got a historical significance, spiritual significance, and physical significance, because if we have the Word of God, the Bible in the chamber, and embracing what has been happening last 168 years ago when the first missionaries have landed.
MP Kawanu says nations have prospered through the Word of God, and PNG would be no different, as the Bible can influence leaders in decision-making.
Bible to be the foundation, cornerstone of this country. And morally and ethically, if you look at it, if we have the Word of God as the foundation of this country will prosper.
Last week, Port Moresby Archbishop John Ribat supported the move to have the Bible placed in the Parliament chamber. Many church leaders say the Bible is a symbol of change for Papua New Guinea.
It is there to remind us, and I urge all our members here to be able to also adhere and be reminded that you are all Christians, and these words is our life, our light, and really directing us and guiding us.
The King James Bible toured Southern Islands Province recently before it returned to Port Moresby. Jack Lapawe Jr. National EMTV News.
Several analysts who missed out on selections in the Papua New Guinea Defence Force have blamed it on nepotism within the PNGDF recruitment process. The analysts, who prefer to remain anonymous, told EMTV News having to go through the recruitment process was a waste of their time and resources, only to be overlooked. Commander of the Papua New Guinea Defence Force, Brigadier General Gilbert Toropo, responding to their claim, says nepotism is not tolerated in the force.
It is understood that the Papua New Guinea Defence Force is currently recruiting its batch of new recruits. However, the selection process has been criticised by some analysts who have missed out on selection. They claimed only those who have close relations and connections to the PNGDF have been recruited. It comes as a disappointment to many of them, as they have wasted their time, energy and resources. But the PNGDF commander, Brigadier General Gilbert Toropo, in response told EMTV News there is no nepotism with the recruitment process. He says the PNGDF has a strict recruiting process whereby candidates are selected based on their educational qualification, medicals and entry test results. Toropo highlighted that PNGDF strives to recruit quality soldiers and will not compromise that in the lead-up to providing high-level national security operations for regional and international events to be hosted by Papua New Guinea in the years ahead. PNGDF is targeting 5,000 men by 2017 and is on track in achieving that. But if nepotism is found to be practiced, Toropo has vowed to crack down on that so as to protect the image of the force. Mickey Cavera, National EMTV News.
The public service machinery in Papua New Guinea must be qualified and competent, with leadership addressed through learning and development programs. Acting Chief Secretary and Personnel Management Department Secretary John Cully said this when renewing the agreement with Divine Word University to continue to offer programs for public servants. He said public servants with high standards of integrity and enthusiasm are needed to move the country forward.
Divine Word University in Madang will continue to offer master's and a bachelor's degree programs for public servants in the country. Mr. Kali and DW President Father Yang Shuba recently signed a third cohort of public servants to take up Masters of Public Administration and Bachelor of Public Administration programs this year. Mr. Kali said the government is serious about improving the public service, and the sponsorship of civil servants to study reflects commitment. Mr. Kali said the government through the DPM was pleased with DW's delivery of the programs in the previous two cohorts and decided to renew the contract for the third batch. In response, Father Yang said DW was committed to serve the country and it was pleased to educate public servants. Father Yang said public servants were the face of the country going forward and it needs them. Fabian Hakelitz, National EMTV News.
A second forum organised by the people of Gulf for this weekend is anticipated to have Prime Minister Peter O'Neill receiving a petition. The forum is organised by Focus Gulf PNG, a community-based organisation representing the people's voices. Following on from the first one last week in Karama, this one aims to have Prime Minister Peter O'Neill, Petroleum and Energy Minister Nixon Duban, and the project developer together with its partners. The purpose of these forums is to discuss a downstream processing plant to be built at the new Papua LNG facility in Caution Bay, Central Province. Members of the organising committee met with Gulf Governor Havila Kavo to receive financial support of 10,000 kina to stage the second forum. When announcing his support, the governor sent out an invitation to the Prime Minister and others.
The main reason why we had the forum was we are against the pipeline that is will be built to Caution Bay.
The invitation is now going to the Minister for Petroleum, Minister for Planning, Minister for Finance, and we're also inviting the major players.
And now we check out the finance news. The kina closed unchanged at $0.3615 US in the interbank market. At Bank South Pacific, our kina was trading at $0.354 US, 0.4771 Australian dollars, 0.3227 euro, and 43.51 Japanese yen. Looking at commodity prices at New York close, gold closed lower, while coffee, cocoa, and copper closed the day higher. Palm oil closed higher, while crude oil and copper closed the day lower. And finally, on the stock market, the Dow Jones closed at 34 points lower, the ASX closed at 3 points higher, and the All Ordinaries closed at 1 point higher. You're watching National EMTV News Tonight. We'll bring you stories making headlines overseas when we come back. Stay tuned. Welcome back to the news. Turning overseas now, experts have said democracy cannot be measured. But today, 40% of the world's population remain under dictatorships, many of them in the world's second largest and second most populous continent of Africa. MTV's Alana Lay has this report.
The trial of former Chadian dictator Hissène Habré began today in Senegal, concluding a 15-year legal battle for justice. Rights groups hold Habré responsible for torturing and killing up to 40,000 people during his 8-year rule, which was backed by the United States and France in a stance against Muammar Gaddafi's dictator regime in neighboring Libya.
This is a chance to show that an African court can deliver justice for African victims for crimes committed in Africa. I mean, it's one thing to complain about having abusive African presidents and leaders sent to The Hague. It's another thing to show that they can be prosecuted and get a fair trial here in Africa.
A critical part of the case will be determining whether Habré, who fled to Senegal after being overthrown in 1990, ordered a large-scale assassination and torture of political opponents and rival ethnic groups. 100 victims are to testify at the trial, but Habre's lawyers announced that he would not appear at the trial due to a heart condition, while condemning its guilty outset.
We think that if our client is to be judged, it should be in accordance with rules that apply to international tribunals, respecting the highest standards, including the presumptions of innocence and the right to defense. But in this affair, from the outset, it has been Hissène Habré is guilty, and let's go out and find evidence that justifies this guilt.
Human rights activists in Senegal are positive that the trial is fair, as it will be a model for African justice. Alana Lay, EMTV World News.
In India, having a son is preferred, resulting in millions of abortions and dwindling numbers of Indian girls. Maneka Gandhi, India's Minister for Women and Child Development, said earlier this year that 2,000 girls are killed a day, mostly during pregnancy or just after birth. A group of bikers from the Teesta Thumpers Motorcycle Club set off yesterday for a 27-day trip to promote gender equality and raise awareness on female feticide. Although India has laws banning expecting parents from testing to determine their child's gender, the country's overall preference for boys is very strong.
27 days long trip in which we were covering more than 3,000 kilometers on our bikes. And the ride is about saving the girl child. So we are riding through the states where these things happen very regularly. So we are riding through all the states, and we will try our best to create an awareness to save the girl child.
We cannot change the mentality of the people, but we'll still try to spread the we'll try to spread the save the girl child slogan, so that we can aware people not to kill the female fetus, because being a girl, if I can ride, if I can do all the household work, the girls can all do everything. They are equal to boys, so we'll spread the slogan that not to kill female fetus.
Baramani's hopes of competing in the ICC World 2020 still alive despite losing to the United States. We'll bring you that story and more in True Guy Sports when we come back. Stay with us.
True Guy Sports.
Welcome to True Guy Sports. Well, the PNG Baramani's hopes for a maiden appearance at the ICC World 2020 next year in India are still high, despite going down to the United States of America yesterday by 18 runs. The Baramanis finished 4th place for Pool A and must now win all games in order to get to one of the 4 remaining qualification spots for India. Ireland and Scotland took the 2 automatic qualifying positions by virtue of finishing top in their pools. The PNG Baramandis will face winner of Afghanistan and Hong Kong on Thursday, the 23rd of July at 7 p.m. PNG time. The PNG boxing team bagged 8 gold medals in the Pacific Games, being ranked #1 in the Pacific. The biggest cheers belong to PNG's Jonathan Kiama in the men's middleweight division. Jonathan, who competed at the 2014 Commonwealth Games in Scotland, performed extremely well throughout the Pacific Games.
Jonathan Kiama put on an outstanding performance during the Pacific Games and brought roars from the crowd as they cheered him on after he defeated his Tahitian opponent Tautuari Nena by a technical knockout in the playoff for gold. Kiama, only recently discovered in last year's PNG Games, proved that he could be one of PNG's best boxers. PNG's other 7 gold medals came from Charles Kiama in the light fly division, Louis MacGyver in the fly division, Henry Ummings in bantam, Thaddeus Katua in light, and boxing captain Tom Boga in the light welterweight division. The women also taking out gold in their respective divisions in the likes of Philo MacGyver and Debbie Kaure and Rafaela Baki settled for silver. Elijah Lavette, National EMTV Sports.
With 4 gold medals in the bag, the sport of Taekwondo has reached new heights after their successful Pacific Games campaign. They are now focused on qualifying for the Rio Olympics later on in the year, and head coach Andreas Rutten believes the country can produce truly world-class athletes.
Rutten, who has been with the team for over a year, expressed pure satisfaction in the results gained after 14 days of competition.
We had a very 3 intense days. We went in there with a very high expectation from our Olympic Federation. There was a little bit of pressure for us because Taekwondo is still sort of a underdog sport here in PNG, where I believe PNG has the biggest Taekwondo potential in the world that needs to be discovered, that needs to be developed. And the weekend again, the 3 days of intensity showed again that we are leading, and we're coming leading up here in the Pacific for sure.
He did admit there were moments of concern for his team of young fighters who'd had to face Australian and New Zealand opponents prior to meeting up with other Pacific nations.
So I had not much options to pick the team than it was. However, I think the girls in particular had it very hard. They never let PNG down in the sense they fought with PNG hard into it. Unfortunately, we lost and came out silver. With the boys, similar situation. We took them right up. Actually, we were leading by 3 points in the second round, and then we had Max got injured.
The performances by his fighters under extreme duress did bode well, with Rutten believing that this has made his team stronger.
I must say, to the performance of the team in what they were against a strong team from Tahiti, I think they've done extremely well. I think the silver is more worth than actually we think it is, you know. So I'm very proud of the guys. I think they've done a terrific job.
The focus now is on preparation for the Olympic qualifiers.
And look, action speaks for itself. I don't have to add anything anymore. Just have a look at 3 days of intense outcome, 2 gold, 5 silver, 8 bronze, speaks for itself. So I look forward to the big challenges to come. So Olympic, Rio 2016, we'll be there.
And still to come in True Kai Sports tonight, hockey and NRL. Stay tuned for that.
True Kai Sports.
Good to have you back with True Kai Sports. Well, Fiji has continued their dominance in hockey at the 2015 Pacific Games. Both their men's and women's teams picked up gold. Although they faced tough competition from Papua New Guinea, Vanuatu and Tonga, they showed much improvement during the Games.
Team Fiji hockey proved too strong on the turf, claiming gold in both the men's and women's divisions. Fiji's hockey team have been dominant in the recent Pacific and Oceania tournaments, but the men were after a Pacific Games title. It has been a long wait for the Fiji men's team. It's been 36 years since the team last won gold in Suva 1979. They proved too strong, going through the tournament undefeated all the way till the gold medal match against Vanuatu, where they were yet again victorious. The Fiji women faced off against PNG in the gold medal playoff, where they proved to have too much class, winning 9-4. The Team PNG women's hockey team settled for silver, and the men grabbed bronze after they defeated the Solomon Islands. Dion Kombeng, National, EMTV Sports.
Round 19. Over to Rugby League, round 19 of the NRL saw the Bulldogs, Storm, Knights, Roosters and Broncos completing the round with huge wins in their respective matches. The Brisbane Broncos sit at the top of the NRL points ladder, 4 points clear from the Cowboys.
The Parramatta Eels suffered a tough loss against the Bulldogs 28-4. The scoreline in the first half saw a tight encounter, 4-6, but in the second half, Frank Pritchard grabbed a double and saw the Bulldogs run away with the match.
Here for Canterbury, he's got a double, Frank. Put Mr. Pritchard down.
The second half was all in the Bulldogs' favour as they proved too much of a handful for the Eels to contain.
Slice through them like a hot knife through butter. Down the left side, his brother's with him, and so too is Reynolds, but he's not going to use either of them.
The Newcastle Knights enjoyed a huge victory over the Gold Coast Titans, being too strong, walking away with a 30-2 win. The Brisbane Broncos had to hold off a spirited fight back by the West Tigers. The Broncos got off to a big 26-0 lead at the break.
Hunt breaking the tackle of Brooks, and he's away up the ground over the halfway. Goes past Moses, comes out the other side, breaks another tackle. Superb work by the young fellow. Now it's with Glenn. There's a try coming. All off the back of Ben Hunt and his amazing work. Miranda scores.
They were sloppy in the opening minutes of the second half, allowing the Tigers to score 3 unanswered tries in 9 minutes. However, the Broncos held on and proved why they are premiership favourites when they went on to win 42 points to 16. Dion Kombang, National EMTV Sports.
And that report wraps up True Kai Sports tonight. The weather details after the break. Stay with us.
Kai Sports. True Kai Sports.
Taking a look for weather forecast for the next 24 hours in the southern region, Port Moresby, Daru, Karama and Alota to look forward to cloudy periods, while in Poponeta, mostly fine. In Momase, a light shower or two expected in Ley City, while in the other centres, Madang, Wewak and Vanimore, mostly fine. While in the New Guinea Islands, all centres to look forward to fine weather. And in the Highlands region, all centres morning fog, then fine weather. Ocean forecast for PNG areas, waters of southern PNG Indonesia. Before that, there is a strong wind warning current for all coastal waters of southern PNG Indonesian border through Torres Strait and Daru to Kiwai Island, Karama to Yule Island, Hood Point through to Samarai Island, and all Milne Bay Islands, including Cape Vogel. Now looking at waters of southern PNG Indonesian border through Torres Strait and Daru through to Kiwai Island, Karama, Yule Island, Hood Point, the Samarai Islands and waters of eastern and western Milne Bay Islands, waters of Finschhafen including Vitia Strait, Siasi Islands through to Long Island and waters of western New Britain, seas of 2.5 meters to 3 meters, waters of Samarai Island through to Cape Vogel, Finschhafen and waters of Manus and its western group of islands, seas of 1.5 to 2.5 meters, and waters of Long Island through to Madang, Bogia, Wewak, Aitape through to Vanimore and the northern PNG Indonesian border, including waters of Bougainville, New Island and East New Britain, seas of 0.5 to 1.3 meters. And lastly, ocean forecast for PNG areas, Coral Sea seas rough with southeast winds at 25 to 34 knots, Solomon Sea seas slight to rather rough with southeast winds at 15 to 25 knots, Bismarck Sea seas moderate to rather rough with southeast to easterly winds at 20 to 34 knots, and lastly Pacific Ocean seas slight with northeast to southeast winds at 10 to 15 knots. As always, before we go, a recap of our main news again tonight. Fire in Ley claims the life of an expatriate woman. Also, authorities assess challenges faced during the 2015 Pacific Games, and Taekwondo athletes prepare for Olympic Qualifiers following their gold-winning performances in the Pacific Games. Well, that's been National EMTV News tonight. From the news team, I'm Tokana Hasavi. Thanks for your company. You have a pleasant working week. Good night.